president has said that he plans to roll back his predecessor's Clean Power Plan, but he hasn't said anything or committed anything when it comes to the U.S.'s role in the Paris Climate Agreement, has he?
No, we were hoping to hear some remarks on that today. He didn't address the Paris Accord at all. Maybe that's because there is some discord within the administration about the best approach there. You have Secretary of State Rex Tillerson advocating that the U.S. keep its seat at the table. You have apparently his daughter pushing to stay in the accord. There's some tension because conservatives are pressing the White House to withdraw.
You know, I think it's easy to, when we talk about coal, obviously it feels like an old industry, but very much so, as President Trump was pointing out, there are still people that work in coal. I'm curious, Tim, can you give us some perspective? How big is this industry still? Where are the people that he's addressing? What do they want to do that they haven't been able to do?
Sure. Yeah, coal, it's not dead as many people have claimed. It still provides about a third of the electricity generated in the U.S. There's also a component that makes the coal that's used in the steelmaking process. So when he talks about both from the utility perspective and also steel for the pipelines.
Beautiful steel. Exactly.
They fit together. The majority of coal these days is produced out west, Wyoming, Montana. You have a significant amount in the kind of the heartlands, Illinois, Indiana. But the image that we have in the U.S. primarily is Appalachia, and that has been the stronghold for a lot of his support, and that's kind of been the target audience for a lot of his rhetoric. The problem is, in Appalachia, the economics are very difficult, and whether he is able to stoke new demand for that region, that's the real hurdle. And that's where the coal mining is more labor intensive.
Right.
So if you're looking to create more jobs, coal jobs, you really need to kind of push for that area.
I see.
And of course, Jen, coal as a topic is politically potent. It's a throwback to when the industry was so much in better shape, and therefore an entire region's livelihood really depended on it from 30, 40 years ago. This was a prominent part of the president's campaign as well. I mean, I recall that he went through West Virginia with a miner's helmet.
Absolutely. He channeled, the frustration that coal miners felt, that laid off workers and manufacturers felt throughout the Rust Belt, really throughout West Virginia and Pennsylvania and Kentucky. He channeled that on the campaign trail. And I mean, you heard him, use that same rhetoric today, speaking directly to the miners, saying thank you to them. I mean, these are the folks who helped propel him to victory, who helped get him into the White House. And, he made very clear as he was campaigning for the presidency that these were the kinds of changes he was going to make. He is making them today.
Jen, so when we talk about the president potentially bringing back coal jobs, bringing back these types of jobs, that's the way he phrases. Perhaps if the industry is already suffering next to more renewable types of energy or more favorable types of energy, what's the definition then that we should be using? Is it extending the life of the coal industry? Is it giving them another breath here to keep going? What is it if it's not bringing back jobs, or is it in fact going to bring back jobs?
What federal analysts expect is that this will stave off some of the decline. So maybe some coal plants that are on the brink of retirement, where retirement hasn't been announced, may be able to see their lives prolonged. But the long-term trends running against coal and its use for power generation are still there, with or without the Clean Power Plan. Utilities are looking to natural gas and to renewables, not just because they're cleaner and meet other pollution requirements that are not affected by what Trump is doing today, but also because they are increasingly cheaper than coal. So you've got those currents that coal is fighting against, and those headwinds really won't be changing here.
How much have things really changed for the coal industry since Obama took his action, Tim? Because his goals were for the long term, right? Everything was stipulated by 2030. So how much movement did we really see from the private sector?
Well, in terms of the industry itself, it's shrunk quite a bit. There's been about a 40% reduction in the volume of coal mined in the U.S. between 2008 and end of 2016. And, baked into that, you had a rash of bankruptcies in the last couple of years. You had a lot of job losses. Mm-hmm. But a lot of that, as we mentioned, is because that was also coinciding with the shale boom. And cheap natural gas has been the primary killer of coal's share of the market space. Some of the regulations, like President Trump mentioned today, the lifting of this moratorium on federal coal leases, that has a longer-term component. That particular policy, if, for example, the U.S. was to stop giving leases to coal miners on federal land, that wouldn't really have an impact until 10, 15 years down the road.